Every year 18 billion pounds of plastic trash gets dumped into our oceans. That's enough to cover every foot of coastline around the world. With 5 full trash bags, pollution has turned our oceans into a ticking time bomb. But back in the 1970s, a little-known development off the coast of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, tried to save their local reef by dumping a staggering 2 million used car tires directly on top of it. Despite what you might think, this wasn't meant to hurt marine life. Oh no, they wanted to help it, and the results might surprise you, so stick around to find out just why 2 million tires ended up in the bottom of the music ocean. Okay, so before we jump into the tires, there's some super important stuff you need to know. Super important and super scary. Prior to 1972, there wasn't anything stopping companies from disposing of anything they wanted to in the oceans. It was open season. In 1968 alone, an estimated 38 million tons of unwanted excavated materials, 4.5 million tons of industrial waste, and another 4.5 million tons of sewage, 100 million tons of plastic, between 2 and 4 tons of chemical waste, and finally 1 million tons of heavy metals were released into the ocean. But these are just estimates. Honestly, no one really knows how much harmful junk got sunk, because there's little to no record keeping from the time. If you think all that sounds bad, though, you've heard nothing yet. According to the US Archive, between 1946 and 1970, over 55,000 containers of radioactive waste were disposed of into the Pacific Ocean. What's more, a further 34,000 tons were dumped in 3 sites of the East Coast between 1951 and 1962. Yuck, basically we've done a hell of a lot of bad stuff to the waters of our planet now. Whilst this is absolutely horrifying, you have to bear in mind that we are judging by today's standards. We know far more about the effects hazardous substances have on the environment than people did back in the 50s. Thanks to the hippie movement in the 60s, though, the American public had a bit of a culture revolution and became far more conscious. So by 1972, the government introduced restrictions on what could be dumped into the oceans. For now, companies who produced massive amounts of waste had to find other solutions to clean up the mess they made. That's where we get to the tires. In the 70s, America's boom in automobile industry produced close to a staggering 170 million car tires a year, and that made a lot of waste. While some very basic recycling practices existed as far back as the 1960s, most tires were just dumped into landfills or incinerated. But in 1972, Broward Artificial Reef proposed an audacious 2 birds on stone solution that would both remove all of the ugly tires piling up on land and help undo some of the damage done to the ocean. What was the solution? Well, they proposed building an artificial reef from the used tires off the Fort Lauderdale coast. See, natural coral reefs serve as incredible ecosystems for our oceans. Corals are marine invertebrates that provide food and shelter for all manner of marine life, so their loss would be devastating. Even so, we are losing them. So by dropping tires into the ocean, they theoretically provide extra surface area for new corals to grow on. The more corals that grow, the more fish are enticed into the area. Bada bing bada boom, you've got yourself a little self-sustaining ecosystem. Sure, it was a pretty experimental idea, but similar reefs had been built all across northeastern USA, the Gulf of Mexico, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia and Africa. So why not Florida? Sounds too good to be true, right? Just you wait. The project received government approval in 1974, and that spring more than 100 privately owned boats came forward to help out. Each vessel carried thousands of tires bound together with steel clips and nylon and deposited them across an 88-acre site 7,000 feet offshore. It was so popular that even tire manufacturer Goodyear got involved. Not only did they provide equipment to smaller boats, they even christened the site by dropping a giant gold-plated tire from a branded blimp as it flew overhead. Wow, not melodramatic at all. Then in total, a mind-blowing 2 million tires went into creating Osborne Artificial Reef. Can you imagine what that must have looked like? 2 million tires cascading off ships into the Atlantic Ocean. I'd say something a little like this now. However, 50 years have passed and it's almost unrecognizable from what it looked like before. Are you ready? to see it. I think there's been some kind of mistake. Maybe I've rolled the wrong clip. Let's try another one. Are you ready to see it? Where's the reef? All the corals and the fish? Well, there isn't one. Despite having the best of intentions and promising big results, the Osborne Artificial Reef was a catastrophic failure. Remember earlier I said the tire bundles were bound with steel clips and nylon? Yeah, well, no one thought to treat the steel so it wouldn't corrode. See, most metals rust due to moisture in the environment. Steel contains iron, and moisture strips electrons away from the iron to make hydrated iron oxide, which is the reddy browny stuff we call rust in salt water. This happens a whopping 5 times faster due to the salty electrolytes conducting electricity better than fresh water, because rusting is caused by the movement of electrons. The faster these electrons are taken, the quicker the metal breaks down. And nice, basically untreated steel in the ocean equals big boo-boo, and I don't say that lightly. Not long after the tires had been deposited, their steel bindings broke apart, causing all 2 million tires to become loose and mobile. Now Florida is susceptible to some very rough weather. Year after year, storms whipped up the seas, creating underwater currents which smashed the loose tires against the natural reef that already existed. So anything that was there got utterly destroyed. Rather than create a new reef, the tires were obliterating the old one. But the damage wasn't just contained to the local environment. Oh no! In 1995, Hurricane Opal tore through the Gulf Coast and spread over 1,000 tires across the Florida Panhandle, and then again in 1998, Hurricane Bonnie dumped thousands of tires along North Carolina beaches. It was an absolute mess. But that's not all. You ever heard the saying, a rolling stone gathers no moss? Well, moving tires don't grow corals. Not only did the tires destroy the existing reef, but they also failed to grow anything new. Corals require clean, healthy, warm water with a strong wildlife population to grow properly. That's not going to happen on a tire getting either 900 mil to North Carolina, is it? But let's not get completely carried away. The good news is that it might not all be doom and gloom for Osborne Reef. Before we get into that though, if you're enjoying the video, show some love to those like and subscribe buttons. It helps support the channel and keeps you up to date with all my amazing videos. Great, now let's get back to it. We write in 2001, professors at Nova Southeastern University were awarded a $30,000 grant to begin a reef cleanup operation. With that money, they managed to organize divers to swim down and collect 1,600 of the loose tires. Sure, it's not a lot relatively speaking, but at least it's something. In the 30 years preceding the operation, everyone had kind of just pretended it wasn't there. So after hiring a boat crew and divers and getting proper authorization, the removal cost came to around $17 for each of those 1,600 tires. That's pretty damn costly. Indeed, estimates to clean up the whole reef placed it somewhere between a whopping $40 million and $100 million each. Understandably, the progress stalled, but then in 2007 the reef cleanup was kick-started again when the military decided to use the surrounding area as a real-world training facility. That year alone, they managed to bring roughly 10,000 tires ashore during military drills. This was further helped by the Florida government, who allocated $2 million to help cover the transport and disposing costs once the tires were brought to SH shore by 2009. Thanks to hundreds of thousands more dollars being thrown at the problem, a total of 72,000 tires had been pulled. Nice, but military operations in the area ceased, and over 95% of the tires still lay untouched. Oh, I said it wasn't all doom and gloom though, didn't I? Well, between 2016 and 2019, thanks to a further $4.3 million contract with the Industrial Divers Corporation, serious progress finally started to be made on the site. At their peak, the IDC were removing 2,000 to 5,000 tires a week, and thanks to this they accumulated a bewildering 250,000 in total. Despite all their success though, around 2/3 of the tires were still on the seafloor, and as you can see, this continued to cost the Floridian government heaps and heaps of money. That was until a much cheaper solution came along. By 2021, a new contender contender waded into the fray when private company 4Ocean announced their plans to retrieve tires in a 34-acre area north of the original drop site, an operation they'd fund in part through selling $29 bracelets made from the recycled tires. According to 4Ocean website, for every bracelet they sell, 5 pounds of ocean waste is removed neato, and they've made some serious progress. Estimations they made in 2022 suggest there are only around 5 lakh tires, are just 25% left to take out. Whoa, that's remarkable, but this is also where this story takes quite an interesting turn. Remember earlier I said that the initial cleanup organized by Nova Southeastern University cost around $17 per tire. Okay, so I've run some calculations here, and these are by no means a 100% accurate, but on average car tire weighs around 25 lb. $129 bracelet per 5 pounds hikes the cost of removal per tire to a staggering $145. It's an eye-watering 8.5 times more than the initial cleanup operation. Holy smokes, now before you all start losing your minds, there's a few